Y'all, something is missing. You know it, you experience it, you feel it. But if you do these three things, you're going to see a difference. You ready? I'm ready. Let's go. Guys, we have to stop grinding and working for things that are already done. Look, how much work do you have to put in to breathing? See, there's laws that have already been set up, orchestrated, designed, created, set in motion by God Almighty. And listen, if we cooperate with the way that we are designed and created and made to function, things just flow. It's very hard for us to breathe underwater, period, because we're not designed to. By the same token, it is so hard to be happy. It is hard to be fulfilled. It's hard to have peace in your life if you're not cooperating with the ways that those things function in us. Does that make sense to you? There was a Gallup poll survey taken, including thousands of Americans, and it was determined that the thing that was most important was happiness and health. And this was not just taken by those who are wealthy. It's because even those that are wealthy realize that without internal fulfillment and satisfaction and genuine happiness, yeah, the money isn't important. It does what it does because, money solves the problems that money solves. One of the most tragic things is for a person to go through their life and never really know themselves or their self-image. The portrait, the picture that is branded on the inside of them. Your self-image determines where you can go in life. It's not people, it's not systems, it's not racism, it's not external devices or external instances that determine where we can go in life, what we can achieve and accomplish in life, what we can experience in our life. No, it is our own self-image that sets the limitations or lack of limitations. Does that make sense to you? So the most important thing that we can do is have a healthy self-image. I just want to give three real quick tips that we can do. Number one, we have to reflect. We repeat the same mistakes over and over and get really skilled at things that we don't want in our life because we practice it over and over and experience that repetition. But when we reflect, that gives us the ability to be able to look back on things and then be able to systematically make changes in our lives. That is so important. We all have blind spots in our life, and you can't see blind spots that another person looking on can see. When it comes to personal development, we have to be self-reflective and utilize self-awareness so that we can then understand some of the things that are blind spots. Now, as a former athlete, I could tell you, I could never really accurately explain what happens on the field. But how does an athlete do that? It's by watching films after the game. That's reflection. You reflect on the steps that you took. You reflect on the decision that you made in the course of the action, in the heat of the action. What made you make this choice? What made you take your eyes and put it where it was not supposed to be that could have been detrimental to the team? See, that's self-awareness and self-reflection that happens by watching the film. Likewise, when we give ourselves a timeout and we put a pause on our situations, issues, reflect on our interactions, we can literally watch an inner movie of our dealings and begin to openly and honestly subtract from some of our choices and say, I could have did this better. Maybe I should have made this choice. Maybe I didn't have to respond that way. Through self-reflection, we get sort of a do-over, where we get an opportunity to observe people's behaviors, and not so that we can blame them for the way that they act towards us, but so that we can alter our response, and then the next time, guess what? Life moves on, time moves on, and there will be a next time, fortunately. And so we can make a better choice the next time. So being self-reflective is so very important to us understanding ourselves and applying an appropriate portrait, self-image, self-portrait. So after we reflect, then guess what? We have to renew. So we reflect, then we renew. What do I mean when I say renew? Listen guys, we have to allow our minds to be renewed. Those of us who are drivers here in the United States, we get issued a driver's license. But that driver's license is only good for a span of time. It's only good for a span of 4 years normally. After that time has elapsed, we need to renew our license. Why? Because changes happen. We have to renew our license because some things that were appropriate and matched us 4 years ago may not match our circumstances now. It may not match what we need to accomplish now in our lives. Therefore, we have to renew those licenses. And when we turn those licenses in, when we get it renewed, normally they punch a hole in it so that there's no going back. They put a hole in it so that you cannot present that old you anymore. Does that make sense? So when we renew our minds, through self-reflection, when we renew our minds, we can develop a list, a catalog of things that's like, oh man, I used to think like that, or oh man, at that time in my life, I did hold on to an offense. I did think that people were out to get me. But when you renew your mind, you take those thoughts, punch a hole in them because they are no longer appropriate and they don't benefit you anymore in your life. And so that's why we renew our mind. We replace the old mindset with new, beneficial, positive mindsets that's going to help catapult us in the direction that we desire to go. Is that good to you? And we can do it. And then once we have these new positive mindsets, we have renewed our mind. Now it's time to practice. So that third R is rewire. What are we rewiring? We are rewiring neural pathways. We are rewiring new habits, new actions that cause our brain to look at things differently and offer us new approaches to things. But that only comes from practicing the new. So we have to practice the new. Let's tear away from the old. Let's tear away from the old habits that would lead us to being unfulfilled, unhappy, malcontent, dissatisfied, just blah in our lives. It's going to take some work, guys, but it's well worth it. So reflect, renew, and rewire. Think about these 3 steps. Try them on and see how they work for you. This is the information age, and every single thing that I say and any other coach, leader, anybody says, guys, you can Google it yourself. There is nothing new under the sun. We are sharing the same principles that work. So don't be thrown off when you hear content repeated, because there's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new being created. There is no new way. It is just learning the ability to apply the things that already exist. Does that make sense to you? So if this content brings you value, go ahead, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified every single time that I release new content. Listen, guys, we can live an abundant, prosperous life, prosperous financially, prosperous in health. We can prosper as our souls prosper. Live a life of success from the inside out. All right, it's Coach Will Lane. I will see you next time. See ya!